to the power of one. Today, I am going to be speaking with, I'm going to say, an old friend because we go way, way back. And then we kind of reconnected, and I'm sure that will come up sometime during this show. But Reverend Pastor Lamar Stewart of Taylor Memorial Baptist Church, who is awesome. And those of you who know me know that I'm boots on the ground. I'm not too much of a talker. Okay, you're gonna give me my marching orders and then let me march and let me do what I have to do. But Pastor Stewart is the same way, and that's what I love about him. He is a doer. So we're going to have a great conversation. You're going to hear about all the amazing things that he is doing, which is a lot. And he cares about people. Welcome to the show, Pastor.
Thank you so much, Melany Nelson, for the opportunity to be here and to be a part of today's conversation. Thank you for your legendary, incomparable work. There is no one in the Northwest quite doing it the way you do it. And quite frankly, you are setting the bar and leading the way on what it means to support families, communities, and individuals who have been impacted. You and a number of our victim advocates really are heroic and sheroic. And so I salute you and thank you for your work.
Thank you, Heroic. That's a new one. I like that. I do want a shirt with that on it. You know, I work for a nonprofit. Pastor, Reverend. We're gonna get the title right in a second, but I'll take that for Christmas. Now, how do you want me to address you? Is it Reverend Stewart or Pastor Stewart?
Either is fine. Either is
Okay.
fine.
Sounds
Mhm.
good. Okay. I know you do amazing work. So for those of you who do not know, my father is Reverend Dr. John L. Payne. He's a retired pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Church of 10th and Dolphin. And Reverend Stewart used to come and preach during our youth Sundays. And boy, can he bring the word. It's nothing like a pastor that can bring the word. He's amazing. And he brought the word so that we can all understand it. It wasn't my calling to be a pastor, so I don't like really read the Bible and understand it. All of the image and I said and the words I can't even pronounce them, but he brings the word. So, Pastor, tell us about your church, where it's located, and then tell us about all the amazing things that you're doing.
Thank you so much. I've had the privilege and honor to serve as senior pastor of Taylor Memorial Baptist Church. Is a historic church in the Nicetown, Tioga section of the city. This year, December, the church will be celebrating its 75th
Oh,
church
wow.
anniversary. And I've been a part of that history for the last 15 years. Next month will be 15 years that I've been walking with Taylor as pastor and people. 15 years I've been there, 75 years the church has been in existence. And certainly it has been an amazing journey. Much of our work, we're in Nicetown. We are in the 19140 zip code, one of the poorest zip codes in the city of Philadelphia, and one of the zip codes that's impacted most by violent crime and gun violence here in the city. And we affirm, obviously, the historic declines that we're seeing as a city in gun violence, in violent crime, in homicides. But when we talk about the communities that are impacted most, the 19140 zip code is one of the most chronically poor and chronically violent neighborhoods. And therefore, over the last 4 years, we have been very focused through our church's nonprofit tailor-made opportunities to really think through. While we've been doing this work for the last 15 years, we have really focused our work over the last four, specifically in the space of poverty and violence. Our nonprofit, Tailor-Made Opportunities, its mission is to prevent and interrupt the cycle of violence and poverty in Philadelphia through mentoring, through advocacy, through development, through education. So MADE is an acronym for mentoring, advocacy, development, and education. We have a number of programs under that nonprofit, one of which is a violence interruption program called Corners to Connections. Every February for Black History Month and every June for National Gun Violence Awareness Month, our volunteers, our partners in the faith-based, church-based space, and community advocates such as yourself and other organizations partner with us. And every night we're on street corners in the month of February and June, engaging with women and men who are on those corners, who identify with violent groups, who are part of gangs or groups, street groups in Philly, but also those not just a part of those who are part of the life, but those who've been impacted by violence, who have been harmed by violence, or those who've been impacted by chronic poverty, who just need support. And so, through our violence interruption work with Corners to Connections, we at the end of the month we have a wellness and employment fair. Now, in those other 10 months outside of February and June, we're on the streets every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. And so all year round, we're on the streets. And at the end of the month, we host a wellness and employment fair. We have one coming up on August the 28th, right here in Philly at Taylor Memorial Baptist Church. We're going to have about 30 employers and social service providers who are right there out front of our church and inside of our facility where our church has opened its doors to employers such as SEPTA, Temple, the city of Philadelphia, the fire department, the police department, our local union, Local 332, the laborers union, and other healthcare providers and employers who are willing to give second chances and willing to help those who, again, who are caught in the cyclical nature of violence or those who are impacted by chronic poverty. But we also realize that there's a wellness component, not just around employment. And so we're meeting the holistic need. The five pillars for Corners to Connections is healing, hiring, harmony, housing, and hope. And through one of those five pillars, we meet the needs of those who we come in contact with. Obviously, Northwest Victim Services is one of our partners in the Corners to Connections work. And so we have trauma care professionals that are at these wellness employment fairs. We have employers, we have other social service providers, vocational training organizations, because anything we can do as a church body to meet the tangible need. I'm going to be quiet in a second to get ready for the next question, but our why, we think about the work of Jesus. And if Jesus was here today, he would be in those streets. Jesus, we believe, is on the side of the least, the last, those who are looked over, those who are marginalized, those whose backs are against the wall. And so we find it our mission, consistent with the work of Christ, to be in those streets and to meet the needs of those who may not have a voice, and bringing those resources to bear and meeting them right at their place of need.
You said something about second chances. Does that mean that the employers that you have will hire someone who has been incarcerated who are returning citizens?
Certainly, one of the, while this is a wellness employment fair, some of the work that we do before that fair, and that wellness and employment fair is really to interview the employers to make sure that barriers such as being formally incarcerated does not become an issue within the context of the work that we do. We recognize that those who we are working with, there's a victim advocate that we know very well, who often would say that poor people, that Black people, that brown people are often victims on both sides of the gun.
Mhm.
And so a victim today may be a perpetrator tomorrow, or a perpetrator today might be a victim tomorrow. And we recognize that we have to have partners in this space who are willing to handle those who have been harmed on both sides of the gun or who have been impacted on both sides of the gun and who are looking for wellness and opportunity at this phase of their life. And so our employers, our service providers are all sensitive to those needs and certainly willing to create opportunities. And we have results and voices of those who are in our communities who have benefited from those services.
When you speak about being on the corners, what corners are you on and what time?
Yeah. So, most of our work is in the north and northwest section of the city.
Mhm,
Obviously, our church is situated right on the border of what some would call Northwest and others
mhm,
would call North Philly. So we have 1 foot in the Northwest and 1 foot in North Philadelphia. Some of our partners are in the West Philadelphia community as well, and so we're intentional at times to head out into that area as well. But most of our work is in North and Northwest. And so to name a few corners, Broad and Erie, the Susquehanna corridor from Broad to 22nd, the that whole area, Cecil B. Moore,
mhm,
Master Street, York, Cumberland, Huntingdon, Lehigh, and then going up on the other side into the 39th district,
mhm,
from Lehigh up to Hunting Park. You know, again, Broad Street going west, and then up into the northwest. Chew and Shelton, Broad and Alney, areas of Brickyard, Dogtown, Happy Hollow, um,
mhm,
Alney. So those areas that we know are impacted greatly
mhm,
by again the issue of violence and the issue of poverty. And our times out, we're on the streets from 9 p.m. until around 11 p.m. or midnight. And so we are meeting those who are, it's a particular demographic, and we understand at the times that those who we want to serve and help when they're going to be on the corners or out on the corridors. And so
mhm,
our work is done mostly when the sun is down. The only time we see each other when the sun is up is during our wellness and employment fair. Um,
mhm.
and so we're excited about that.
So I know you are a man of many hats, and you are currently at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, which I've seen you do an amazing job with DA Krasner and the Monday press conferences. So when you came in, again, I think you did an amazing job. So people know what's going on at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, on the community side and educating, again, which is so important. So can you tell the viewers what you do at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office and what your main purpose is?
Mhm. So I have no hair, but let me switch my imaginary hat. So moving from Taylor Memorial Baptist Church into the government space to your question. And so in my role outside of Taylor, which is completely separate, in my role in the DA's office, I serve as Chief of External Engagement and Government Affairs Division. I also provide leadership to our county detectives here at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. And so, but in my capacity, as a Chief of External Engagement and Government Affairs, there are a number of units that are under my operations, to include our Victim Services Unit, our CARES Unit, our Witness Relocation Unit, our Community Engagement Unit, our Government Affairs Unit, as well as our Communications and our faith-based initiatives. So anything that's external facing, that would serve the public, that would serve community, and that would interface with our intergovernmental partners, our partners at PPD, our partners in government at City Hall, at both local and state and federal, that falls within my shop. So I have the responsibility through the work of an amazing team of directors, assistant directors and staff, we're really building the bridge between the DAO and victim advocates, victim agencies, community partners, as well as government partners, for folks to really understand the resources and the opportunities that's available, but also bringing the community's concerns back to the executive table. Listen, we understand that as we think through policy and programming, that will be best for community. We have to approach the conversation around policy and programming from a community sensitive, victim sensitive, survivor sensitive space. Obviously being data informed, but understanding the difference between qualitative data versus quantitative data, and making sure that we keep at the table the voices and the experiences of those who have lived experience here within the city and county of Philadelphia.
So, okay, so keep that hat on and we're gonna keep both hats on. When did
Mhm.
you create Tailor Made? opportunities? And was it born out of what you see daily with when you were working day to day at the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, or was it born before then? You know what I mean? Like, did it tie in and you say, listen, I do see a lot here at work, and I could be doing more within my church setting?
I've been pastoring in a ministry much longer than I've been working within the criminal justice system, and so I would say that the advocacy work, the prophetic work of a preacher pastor, our responsibility is to speak truth to power, and to offer both resource, offer solutions, offer creative and critical thought and thinking around the issues that matter most to community. I've had the opportunity to bring that prophetic lens and that community sensitive lens both into the pastorate, but also into the criminal justice system through the work here at the DA's office. I like to say that this work here in the DA's office really offers me the opportunity to assist on response after a crime has happened, and to build the bridge between community and our partners and the DA's office after there's been harm.
Mm-hmm.
But those of us who believe in prevention, those of us who believe in intervention, those of us who believe in interruption, as relates to violence and poverty, we're not satisfied with just doing the work after the harm. We really are trying to figure out ways on how can we prevent the harm from happening, how we can intervene, and how we can interrupt cyclical nature of poverty and violence. It's within context of Taylor Moore Baptist Church as pastor and as leader of our church's nonprofit that I'm able to fulfill what I believe is my calling in life to address poverty and violence before it even reaches the criminal justice system, or to help people reconsider their choices so that they won't come back into the system. And so it almost is, two hats that really are fulfilling on many levels. One is to be a part of the conversation and bring about change for those who are in the system, but whether it's victim or perpetrator, but also being able to, on the other hand, through the work that I do through the church, affect change in the space of prevention.
Pastor, we're seeing a time where things are different in the street. So I'm young, but I'm old. There used to be a time where there was a code on the street, and for the drug dealers, it was different when I was coming up. Now it seems like there's no regard for human life. There's no respect. There's no nothing. When you're on these corners, are you interacting with these young people now who do not hesitate to shoot another young person? And most of them, Pastor, if we're going to be honest, they look like you and they look like me. Like our young African American brothers and sisters, there's been a switch there too, are being shot and are being killed at such a young age. Do you interact with these young people? We're talking about the shooters.
Listen, very recently, within the last 2.5 weeks, we had a shooting right outside of our church, right at
Mm,
Germantown and Butler on a Sunday, just before the church let out. I was in my last point of my preaching, and um, shooting took place. And one of the people who was being shot at, presumably, entered into our church for refuge,
mm,
because of our relationship with the community that's around our church, knowing that our space was safe. Now, listen, there are many conversations we can have around that, but to think that here it is, a church is a welcoming ground, and that those who are dealing with poverty or violence, no matter which side they're on, feel safe enough to run into a church. Um, Church is finished, and at this point, folks were leaving out, and we walk out into a crime scene. Um, uh, a few of our members were leaving out. In the church, everybody don't wait to end the service to leave, and so some folks will kind of leave out as the sermon's coming to the end. And unfortunately, two of those members witnessed the shooting take place.
Mhm.
Saw three gunmen um, shooting at a corner right where we are situated. And as soon as church was over, I came out my robe, put on my t-shirt, threw my hat on. And while some people in that situation would think to drive off and get away from the danger, because of the work that we do in the space of violence interruption, violence intervention, violence prevention, myself and a few of my leaders, we went straight to the corner. And without giving too much information, we went straight to the places within that space that we know that some of those individuals may have retreated, and to just connect to see what did they need, what was going on, not again from an investigative lens, but
Mhm.
from how can we prevent retaliatory shooting? How can we ensure that no one is harmed on either side of this? And kind of what the needs are. I won't go into too many details, obviously, because we want to respect, where people are in their life at this time. But I will say that not only was that conversation fruitful, we have not had any retaliatory shooting,
Mhm.
and we're making ourselves available to those who were impacted, to see how we can address the trauma, the harm, and to help get them out of gear. Let me talk about the culture of what we're seeing. We have, to the point you were making, there was a time where um, one could live to see another day. If they were
Mhm.
with their
Mhm.
mom, if they were with their significant other, if they were with their children. There's a on the spot culture now that when folks are on what the streets will call demon time or go time, it doesn't matter who's with you, what's going on. That if I see my ops, if I see someone who's a part of an opposing group, that person feels the need to take action at that present time. Um, and there are a number of people who will kind of talk about ways to really address that. Obviously, there's an enforcement side, there's a prosecution side. I have on my pastor's hat at this present time, so I'll deal with it on that side. Part of the conversations that we have with guys that and women who are in the life, you'd be surprised how at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, how vulnerable and transparent that some of these young men and young women are willing to be
Mhm.
around where their needs are, around why they're out there. Um, there's a sense of hopelessness. There's a sense of this is the generational business. This is all I know. There's a sense of a feel of one never being able to give them a real opportunity at something that's sustainable for their life. Um, we also got to deal with this. If we talk about the shooters of today, kind of the age range, we're talking about those who are, 15 to mid to late 20s, right? Somewhere in that ballpark. If you subtract that from 2025, we're talking about those who were born in the late 90s to 2010. And when we talk about the crime bill of the 90s and kind of that mass incarceration era, that lock everybody up era, that tough on crime era, and we think about the women and men that we sent upstate, sometimes for very petty crimes, and some who are still upstate for those offenses. Um, in many cases, these are the offspring of those who were impacted by that tough on crime legislation. I'm not suggesting that enforcement doesn't have a place. What I am arguing is that if we want to really break the cycle, we have to begin to meet people's very human need. On the street corners, we're talking to young men and young women who talk about the pain of not having a father, not the pain of
Mhm.
not having a mother, pain of having an incarcerated parent, the pain of having a parent who was killed by gun violence.
Mhm.
We're intentional to make sure that we're affirming those young men and those young women we see on street corners. You'd be surprised saying, I love you, I believe in you, I'm proud
Mm-hmm.
of you, I'm here for you.
Mm-hmm.
Or remembering the name of their child as they
Mm-hmm.
talk about a parent-teacher conference or a newborn child or them going to get sneakers or Pampers for their child, remembering the circumstances and names. Just that connection. You have young men who never heard a masculine voice that's not coming with a badge, a gun, or any type of authority, but rather coming in love and just comfortability and familiarity. Just saying, look, I'm here, I need you, and we need you to be alive. I'll say this lastly before you go to the next question. You know, one of the things at our church we do care packages for the corners when we go out. There are times that we'll show up to a corner with some of the church mothers who made a plate of food, or we purchased some food from a local minority business, and we'll package it together, put some up in a box with some other care package items, toiletries, and we'll show up to the corner and just say, "Hey, we love y'all. Here's some food. Be safe
Mm-hmm.
out here tonight." Um,
Mm-hmm.
that there might be a card in there with some affirming words that just say, "Look, when you're ready for, if you need prayer, if you really want to get out of the life, if you need some counseling, when you're ready, there's a church that cares enough and that's here." And we've seen the results. We've had folks knock on our door, come into our worship services, show up in Bible study, and just saying, "Look, I'm done. I want out."
Mm-hmm.
And you all have been the familiar faces, the consistent faces. You haven't given up on us. And so we believe in people. And when we see the young men and young women on the street corners, those are our sons and daughters. Those are our nephews and nieces. We
Mm-hmm.
love them as if they're our own family. And as a church, we're just not willing to give up on them.
Pastor, how can someone get in touch with you or tailor-made connections to see when the next job fair is coming up or to see the next event that you have coming up?
Listen, I want to encourage you to follow us specifically on Instagram at We Are Tailor Made Philly. That's WeAreTaylorMadePhilly. We are Tailor Made Philly on Instagram. You can also follow me on my personal page, which is G Lamar Stewart Senior. Again, at G Lamar Stewart, Stewart Senior. We will be out on the streets this month, the next month, and the month to come, the months to come. We do have a wellness and employment fair scheduled for Thursday, August the 28th from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. at the Taylor Memorial Baptist Church, 3819 Germantown Avenue. Please come out if you're interested in volunteering and supporting our work. We thank you in advance. And if you don't do anything else, certainly pray for us and pray for the work that we're hoping to do in these streets.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Pastor.
Thank you so much, Melany Nelson, and thank you again for being both our shero and for being a trailblazer in the work that we do.
Thank you. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Please understand there are people who care. So there are people who talk a good talk, but you want to be connected with people who are doing the work and are about the work and that truly, truly care for you. So please connect with Pastor Stewart. Thank you. Peace and love.